Hi folks, it's RC62, and I'm on one of my favorite little roads to ride on the Ruckus. Today I'm riding it on the DN01. It's still kind of a nice relaxing road. The speed bumps are a bit of a pain in the butt, but what can you do? So I had a topic, and it was kind of prompted by something that Bilma said on Slaggy's Last Ride Part 8. It's about, I guess, one of his worst days when he saw Tracy crash his motorcycle, lifted his visor and saw blood on his face, and Tracy wasn't moving, he was unconscious. Well, I had an experience myself, which I thought I would relate. And what had happened is I used to have a 1999 Corvette C5. It's probably one of the most fun, beautiful cars that I've ever owned or driven. In fact, it brought a lot of fun back into simply driving a four-wheeled vehicle. And in 2001, my wife and I had, we were both feeling kind of bad. We kind of had colds, but we needed to go to the grocery store and get groceries. So we ran up to the store, filled up the Corvette with groceries, and headed home. On the way home, I was in the left turn lane on a 4-lane road, waiting for traffic to finish passing. And there was a van coming up towards me from the opposite direction, and he had his right turn blinker on, and he was in the right turn lane. And I made the wrong assumption that the guy was going to actually turn onto the same road that I was, so I went ahead and pulled out. My wife screamed, looked up, and I saw the guy right there. It was too late. He T-boned us at about 45-50 miles an hour on the passenger side. My Corvette spun around several times and wound up clipping a couple of other cars that were parked waiting to turn, finally coming to rest literally on the median strip between the divided road. And glass went everywhere. It was like an explosion. It was something I can't really describe. For months afterwards, the right side of my body I could feel that explosive impact. I can't really explain it other than to say it like that. Anyway, I kind of took stock of myself after the shock of what had just happened kind of wore off a little bit. And I looked over at my wife, and she looked perfectly fine. She was sitting in the passenger seat. Her eyes were open. And I'm kind of looking at myself because my arms are a little bloody from where some of the glass cut me. And I'm, asking her, "Hey, Jeannie, are you okay? Baby, are you okay? You okay?" And she didn't answer me. So I leaned over and looked at her a little closer, and both of her eyes were open, and on the right side of her face was a single drop of blood coming out of the corner of her right eye that I swear looked like a tear. And I realized she wasn't breathing. And I don't know if, unless you've ever been in that kind of circumstance, I don't think you really understand it. But I froze. I mean, my brain just locked up. I mean, I'm looking at it. I know she's not breathing, and I don't know what to do. I just totally froze up. And I started screaming for somebody to call the paramedics. And I was scared to shake her because I was scared that I could hurt her worse than what she already was. But at the same time, she wasn't breathing. And I just did not know what to do. After what seemed like an eternity, but was probably only a couple of minutes, I heard her gasp. And I could tell from the way she was breathing that something was definitely not right. In fact, she had a punctured lung. Didn't know that at the time. And the paramedics got there pretty quick. They escorted me to the hospital because I was kind of banged up. I wasn't hurt seriously. And, you know, all I could do was ask about my wife. Well, long story short, she wound up being in critical care for a little over a week. For the first 2 or 3 days, I really did not know whether she was going to live or die. I spent almost all of my time at the hospital. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat very much. I was crying all the time. And that is a feeling that I'd never, ever want to live through again. My wife doesn't remember very much of it. She kind of remembers coming to in the emergency room for just a moment or two and then going back out. But it was horrific for me. And in fact, to this day, I have a problem being a passenger in a car. But I've gotten used to driving again. I mean, hell, it's been 8 years, but still, I get scared to death. And in fact, when I first got my motorcycle, I was scared to death to ride it. It wasn't just the fact that I had wrecked the motorcycle I had when I was younger and broke my leg on it, although that, I'm sure, kind of played into my paranoia. But it was the fact that, you know, I lived through that horrific accident. Again, I wasn't hurt very bad, but I almost killed my wife. And to this day, she's got problems with her shoulders and her neck. She's got the scars whenever I see her, you know, getting ready to take a shower or without her top on. I see the scars on her chest where they had to cut her open and stick tubes in her to reinflate her lungs. Anyway, it was just a really horrible time. And I don't mean to depress anybody, but it was about this time of year. In fact, it was in December of 2001. And it just seems like a lot of things have happened to my family during the month of December. Various years. My mother passed away in '94 in December. So I don't know. I know everybody talks about happy holidays, but the holiday times are a little bit weird for me. A little bit depressing, I guess. Anyway, don't want to bring anybody down, and I would like to hear if anybody's got any kind of replies about you know, what their worst days were. Again, not to be morbid or depressing, but you know, they say misery loves company, and you know, talking about things that have happened to you kind of helps. Anyway, I kind of wanted to share this. At this point, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to post it, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. Anyway, thanks. This is Rob.